There are some betrayals that slice through a family so deeply that even time struggles to heal them. And the day my daughter-in-law tried to hide her affair, she never imagined that the truth wouldn't come from my mouth or my son's suspicions, but from the very baby she thought would keep her secrets forever. My name is Robert Halle, 62 years old, and I spent most of my life believing that if you raise your children right, if you give them love, discipline, stability, and values, then life will reward them with good partners and good families, but life doesn't work like that. And I learned that the hard way the moment my son Daniel brought home his girlfriend, later his wife, Rebecca, a woman who smiled as if she'd been practicing in a mirror, a woman who hugged you lightly like she didn't want to touch you, a woman whose words always felt polite but hollow. And though Daniel loved her more than anything, something in my gut never trusted her. I tried to ignore it for years because a father doesn't want to believe his child chose wrong. But sometimes instincts are louder than proof, and mine were practically screaming by their second anniversary. Daniel worked long hours as a paramedic, always rushing out on call, always exhausted, always trying his best to give Rebecca the life she said she wanted, and she gave him nothing but complaints, saying he wasn't affectionate enough, wasn't present enough, wasn't romantic enough. And I kept telling my son, a good partner doesn't demand love, they recognize it. But he didn't listen. He trusted her, he defended her, he loved her blindly. And of course she used that blind trust to do exactly what I feared. She cheated. I suspected long before he did. Late nights out with the girls, hours where she didn't answer her phone. Sudden expensive clothes even though Daniel didn't make that much. Perfumes he didn't buy, smiles that didn't reach her eyes. And a kind of glow that didn't belong to a woman in a stable marriage, but to someone being adored somewhere else by someone else. Still, I kept quiet because suspicion isn't proof, and proof is what I needed, and proof came in the most unexpected form imaginable, her pregnancy. The day Rebecca announced she was expecting, Daniel cried, literally cried into her hands, thanking her for giving him the greatest gift of his life. And I forced a smile even though something inside me twisted like a rope pulling tighter and tighter with each passing week. She hid the due date details, skipped doctor visits with flimsy excuses, and snapped whenever anyone asked basic questions, all classic signs of a woman terrified of the truth catching up to her. But the truth always has footsteps. It always arrives. The baby was born on a rainy Tuesday. A little girl named Lily, delicate and quiet, with a shock of hair so black it looked almost blue under the hospital lights, and when I first held her, I felt it instantly, the way every parent and grandparent feels when a child carries blood that doesn't belong. She didn't have a single feature from my son. Not his hazel eyes, not his warm brown tone, not his chin, not even the slightest hint of family resemblance. Nothing. She looked like someone else entirely. And Daniel refused to see it because he didn't want to see it, holding her like she was his entire world. While Rebecca avoided my gaze because she knew I saw everything, I stayed quiet, waiting, watching. But then something happened that even I couldn't have predicted. At the baby's 2-month checkup, the pediatrician looked at Rebecca strangely and asked, "Is the father here?" And Rebecca stiffened instantly, her smile cracking at the edges as she said, "No." He had to work, and the doctor nodded slowly before saying, "We need both parents for the genetic screening recommendation. Lily's blood markers indicate a trait that typically only appears when both biological parents carry the same recessive gene," and my heart slammed in my chest because I knew exactly what that meant. My son did not carry that gene. Only Rebecca did, and whoever the father was. She went pale, then red, then pale again, fumbling through excuses, laughter, explanations that didn't make sense, and the doctor gently insisted the father needed to be present for further testing. The silence in that room was suffocating, like everyone could feel the truth pressing against the walls. Later that evening, Daniel came home to find Rebecca pacing, sweating, panicking, and when he asked what was wrong, she snapped at him, screamed at him, accused him of not being supportive enough. But he sensed something different, something deeper, and when he finally calmed her down, she blurted out the first of many lies, saying the doctor got confused. But Daniel, Bless his heart, didn't argue, didn't attack, didn't accuse, he just asked one devastating question. Becca, why are you so scared? And she froze. Guilt has a body language of its own, and hers screamed louder than any confession. The next week, Daniel agreed to a paternity test, just to clear things up. And Rebecca agreed too quickly, like someone trying to appear calm but drowning inside. He came to my house the day the results arrived, shaking, pale, barely able to breathe, and handed me the envelope without speaking. And I opened it slowly because he couldn't, the paper rattling between my fingers until the words stared up at both of us like a punch. 0.00% probability of paternity. My son collapsed into my arms like a child, sobbing from a place so deep it shattered me. And between breaths he kept saying, Dad? I loved her. I trusted her. I thought I finally had a family, and all I could do was hold him, knowing no words could patch the hole she had carved into his chest. When he confronted Rebecca, she didn't deny it, she didn't cry, didn't apologize, didn't show remorse. She exploded with anger, accusing him of invading her privacy, claiming the affair wasn't her fault, saying she felt lonely because of his job. And the more she talked, the more Daniel realized she hadn't just cheated, she had never loved him at all. He filed for divorce the next morning, and when she tried to use the baby as leverage, the judge shut her down instantly because Daniel wasn't the father. The man who was the father refused to come forward, too cowardly to take responsibility, and Rebecca found herself alone, exposed, rejected by everyone she tried to manipulate. Months passed, and though it took time, my son healed, slowly, painfully, and one evening as we sat on my porch watching the sunset, he whispered, Dad, it hurts, but thank God the truth came out. And I nodded because the truth didn't come from me, or him, or a fight. It came from the baby she tried to use as a shield, the innocent child who unknowingly revealed everything. Today, Daniel is stronger, wiser, calmer, and far more careful with his heart. And as for Rebecca, well, karma always collects its debts, and when you build a life on lies, it only takes one tiny heartbeat to bring the whole thing crashing down.